welcome to A Faster Me. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Lisa, and we race for Serious Cycling.
Yep. And I just raced. The race went great. I got third. It's so much fun to just get experience in and race with everyone and get the vibe of it. It's awesome.
She crushed it. I supported.
Third place is awesome. What do you plan on doing next?
I plan on doing the next race on the 29th, and then I'm off to college. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
Shout out to the college. Which college?
Northeastern.
Northeastern.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
On my whistle.
And the women's 4-5 category are underway with some fast racing to be had.
All right, this is a CBR number 3 officially. This is the women's 4-5 race. So, Ellen, what's going on here?
Well, here is just the start of the race. I was trying to stay up towards the front. That was the plan. I took a minute to get clipped in and, was okay with where I am now. Didn't feel too bad.
So yeah, here it's a pretty difficult race, and yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. Some people came off the course saying it wasn't that hard. Others came off saying the hill on this backside was pretty taxing. But I think it was an interesting course layout with the short laps, kind of short laps with a nice little downhill and then an uphill, and it made for some interesting racing. And there's a pretty big yo-yo effect throughout the race, and I don't mean like necessarily within the Peloton, but lap to lap. Some laps were really fast, and then some laps were pretty slow.
Yeah, I actually found the race a little bit easier than I was anticipating. I had a lot of time off the bike and a lot of travel time over the past week, and just was not really mentally prepared to be out here, but I just said, nope, get out there and compete. So I kind of was giving myself every excuse to
not race.
to not race. But I was happy I got out here. I actually felt better than I thought I was going to. And our teammate Francisco had a bad crash in the race right when we got there, and he said it was brutal. And so I think my expectations were that it was going to be a little harder than I found it to be. Thank goodness he is okay, a little banged up, but walking, and so we're happy to hear that he's okay. But that was in my mind also, so I was happy with me getting out, because I think in previous times I found reasons to allow those things to take me out of the race before it even began.
Yeah, definitely. It was kind of scary watching him on the bell lap, basically right at the start finish line, having that crash. And then somebody ran right over his head. His helmet split in 3 places, basically, just destroyed his helmet. But yeah, hopefully he's going to recover just fine. Everything checked out at the hospital. But yeah, it's still just scary, and definitely wishing him a speedy recovery. So let's get into the race here. And yeah, you guys take a lot of different lines here, and I know it's the first time anyone's done this course. So at least as far as I know. So yeah, it's it's fast sometimes, and I believe it or not, you guys, or at least your average speed was 22.7, and Francisco's average speed was 23. So compared to the men's Cat 5, you guys were basically on the same pace that they are on.
Yeah, and it felt like we slowed down a lot for the corners, and I still feel if I'm catching someone, I'm going to run right up their back, so I slow down before I get there and end up sometimes losing spots, when if I were to just take it and have some confidence, I'd probably keep my momentum, because I feel pretty comfortable cornering by myself.
Yeah, you know how the mirror says objects in the mirror are closer than they appear? Well, objects in your head are not as close as they look, because you're not about to hit anyone. You're not about to hit anyone, but often you're coasting a little too soon, and it ends up causing you to lose a space or so. And that'll come in time, and when you get comfortable again. Earlier in the year, you're doing a great job carrying corner speed, and it seems like we've regressed a little bit there, but you've also improved a lot in some other areas. So it's a give and take, and sooner or later we'll put it all together.
One of these days. I don't think I can stop racing till I do, even though racing is not the most fun thing in my
Hey, anything hard is not the
repertoire.
most fun. You know, it's always going to be some frustration in anything that's difficult to do. So, and like they say, if it wasn't difficult, everyone would be doing it. So, you know, just consider yourself part of some elite people in the world. I don't care if you're first out here or if you're last. You know, you're doing something that not everyone can do. Some people don't have the privilege to do it, but definitely not everyone has the discipline to do this.
No, for sure. I tell people the results are not everything, just lining up. Everyone out here has different goals. So some people's goal is to just be out there exercising for health and fitness, and then some people's goal is to really move up and have this possibly be a career. So we're all out here for different reasons, so that's a win.
Yeah, definitely. This hill right here is it's actually pretty steep. It goes 3 to 4%. I think it tops out at 4% each lap that I've seen. And you guys do a great job. Sometimes you guys are carrying almost 24 miles per hour up this hill. And when you're 3-4% doing 24 miles per hour, I mean, that's a decent effort. I've seen your watts were 300 and 400 watts, and that's a pretty decent effort. I see here you started to jump on this wheel and then you hesitated for a second. And I'd say in the future, just go ahead and commit to it and jump on. You could have moved up about 8 spots there.
Yeah, there was a number of times I think I react a little bit slow. Some of that is probably just inexperience, and then I'm indecisive. So I tried to do a little bit better job of being a little bit closer in drafting, as that's been definitely a challenge. So there's times I find myself doing it, and then there's a number of times where I just give up the wheel and let somebody else take that position.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is Lizzie right here in front of us, number 800. Normally I see her with the Lagrange kit, but just a little tip, and obviously you don't have to listen to me if you don't want to, but I saw a girl came next to you and you reacted a little too much, like you moved about 2 feet over, and I would say just if you can, concentrate on making small adjustments, just not an over adjustment to someone being next to you or a little close to you.
Yep, I'm definitely an over adjuster also. I think in this category, most of us, I've noticed, over adjust a little bit.
Yeah, I think you guys are just comfortable with more space around you. If you compare, and I know that's one of the reasons why we crash more than you guys do, is it's really tight. Like our Peloton stays a lot tighter than yours does. Sometimes you guys have a full bike, like a full person in between you, and we're pretty close to shoulder, maybe like 6 to 8 inches between us. And sometimes you guys have 2 feet between you.
I'm behind, I believe Porter is her name, a new major motion rider I met today. So I was here on her wheel for a little bit. So great job being out there for your first race. And then here, I believe her name is Linda 817. I think she does an excellent job moving up, and I tried to hang on to her wheel, and we end up off the front a little bit later.
Yeah, she was definitely doing some good efforts and had some good pulls, led for a couple laps, things like that. So, yeah, and here you're on Sarah Vargas's wheel. Again, shout out to Sarah. If you guys didn't hear, she's road national champion for her age group, so that's definitely awesome. And I believe she podiumed in mountain biking as well. So Sarah's actually, obviously a fierce competitor, and I just love her tenacity of like holding wheels and, as you can see now, she soft pedals and then she hard pedals to stay in the right distance that she wants for that draft, and then she coasts a little bit. And honestly, that's the way to do it, because those little accelerations saves her energy opposed to putting in like a 20 or 30 second effort to get back onto a wheel once you've lost it.
And here's a chance where I think I let her take my wheel because I was behind Porter, and then she got in, and she was not quite as good of a draft.
Yeah, and that's what happens. That's what happens if you leave that little gap. It's gonna entice someone else to, get an idea and say, hey, that's a wheel that maybe they want.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would say here you're just spending a little bit too much time behind Porter. Porter's kind of fading, and I know you're in the draft and doing a great job. You're getting a free ride, but you're getting a free ride on someone that's losing position. So this is a position where you want to recognize that and move around, kind of like Sarah Vargas did. She recognized that Porter was dropping back a little bit, and she moved up.
And I think here I go, but there's a big gap, and I do a pretty hard effort to get back on.
Yeah, so here there's a situation. You see the young lady in front of you standing, and I just want to point out something here. It's a better example of it later, but there's multiple ways to climb a hill. She's using a heavier gear standing, and that's a great technique. And you'll see some of the people next to her are in a lighter gear and spinning, and that's just preference sometimes. There's more than one ways to get it done, and you'll see later I'll try to point it out where it's a perfect example of they're all carrying decent speed. Half the riders are carrying a high cadence, like 90 plus, and she's standing again in the big gear, and she's right next to him. So there's two different cadences, two different riding positions, but they're both carrying the same amount of speed up the hill. And that's Catalina in front of you right there, I believe. And it's the same thing. You just spent a little bit too much time before recognizing that she's falling off, and then you go around her.
Yeah, I'm good at that lack of indecision. But drafting was what I was working on, so. And
you did a great job. I've been getting on you a lot about not drafting, and at least today you are drafting, So no, like I said, I kind of joke about it, and we joke about it a lot, but my races and these races, they're just two different things. Some of the things that you do, I would not be able to recover from. I would just be dropped, and it's a little different. So you have more options in your race. It's not the best strategy to use that energy, but at the same time, you have the fitness and the power to get back onto the Peloton.
So here I found a wheel, and I was following it up some positions, and yeah, I think I keep following her, and she takes me right to the front. And I gotta say, it felt so much easier second wheel than it does in the back.
100%, and that's what we've been working on, trying to get you to move up. So right here you touched 360 watts. Earlier when you were in the back, you were hitting 450, 480, and you weren't going as fast as you're going now. See, right now you're using someone else's energy at 200, mid 200 watts, and you've moved to the front of the Peloton now. A lot easier in the draft. It doesn't matter if you're climbing or not. Once you're going over a certain miles per hour, you're going to get a big benefit from the draft.
Yeah, this felt very nice out here. It was much easier riding, consistent. The hard part comes when we get past. I still haven't figured out the art of jumping on the next wheel to not end up 20th again.
Yeah, that's kind of hard though. I mean, your awareness has to be high. Your peripheral vision has to be well developed, or you have to be able to use it well, because there's not a lot of time to look over your shoulders or anything. But that's something that everyone, especially all of us beginner racers, have to get used to. It's not as easy to know how many people are passing you and when you can get in. That's one of the reasons why you're doing a pace line as teammates. Your last teammate should say last, or they should tell you that they're the last person. In a race, that's not going to happen. You have to kind of just pay attention and be aware of when you have a gap that you can move into.
Mm-hmm.
This is another difference in cadence here, if you can tell. The young lady in front of you, she's turning at probably like 80, 85. At the time, you're doing 90 plus, and she's using a slightly heavier gear and using a little more power, and you're using a little more cadence. But if you look at your watts, you're only at 70 watts, less than 100 watts, doing 25 miles per hour.
She's gonna love you calling her a young lady. and I'm proud of anybody who's a little bit older out here racing. I think it should be proud of those any years that we have.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I would kill to have her legs. I have little chicken legs. I was a football player, and the positions that I had, a lot of my strength was upper body, and I definitely have toothpicks for legs.
Yeah, so here comes everyone. So
yeah, and honestly, this is not a bad deal. You didn't do too bad there. You were behind someone that you were comfortable with, and you guys got swarmed because the speed slowed down. But she did a hard full lap pull, so of course the speed's going to slow down. It's hard to work by yourself and carry that pace. So I don't think it was that bad of a job there. The only thing is, once you see that she's getting swarmed, you just got to pick someone when you get an opening to move over on.
And I should have picked Lisa, because we spent quite a bit of time riding together. So I know I can ride on her wheel.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, comfort plays into it, but there's a lot of riders out here, and you don't always have the luxury of picking who you're going to be behind as far as who's going to be available. but there's enough riders out here that you can kind of see who's steady and things like that. And it's mainly the same, I don't know, the same core of women racing every week. So usually there'll be a few people out there that you can have some confidence in.
There's Jade, who did a great job.
Yeah, they brag about Jade later in the race on the sprint that she unleashed. You know, won't give away any finishing positions or anything, but yeah, she had a monster sprint at the end of the race. I think you're doing a great job here too, sitting in the draft. I just, you know, obviously we got to work on patience a little bit because you're doing pretty good there. You're at the pointy end of the Peloton, and that's a good wheel to hold right there, the young lady with the red jersey.
Here I'm trying to go get it back.
And you're working. And it's not too bad. You're only using mid 200 watts here, and that's a lot better than the 400 you were putting down earlier. Honestly, it's just all around better. Staying at the top is better. And shout out to the young lady there on the right. I was sitting with some of her teammates earlier, and they're trying to get her to change gears to an easier gear. And I don't think she completely understood them and shifted to the small gear at one point, and then back to the big chain ring. So I think just working on cadence and stuff like that will help her a lot in the future, especially when climbing. Got Kenya there?
Yep, there's Kenya. We're trying to recruit her to PAA, so Kenya, come on out.
Yeah, no, Kenya does a great job. I believe this is her second or third race?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. Second that I've raced with her.
Yeah, and she does a good job. She has a good sprint at the end too, and you know, I hear you guys talking a little bit about how tough the race was, but yeah, she's definitely getting out there and getting some experience in. This is a good job here of not using a lot of watts, just carrying your momentum around the outside and moving up.
Yeah, I like that PRT uniform of Linda's.
Yeah, I see. Linda's like your lead out kind of. she's done a lot of work for you here, so I don't know if you ever see her, you need to buy her coffee or something. I don't know.
Well, if we can make it up in the front of the, you know, finishing at the top, because it doesn't really matter what you do in the whole race. It matters where you finish, and I have yet to bring it together to finish near the top.
You should have gave her some of that hydro. That's what you should have done. Should have shared your carton of hydro or your pack of hydro with her.
You're giving away secrets that are yet to come.
Oh well, hey, you know, spoiler alert. So here's another example. Linda standing, using a little bit heavier gear, and you see other people are spinning out to her right. And I don't mean spinning out, but just using a little more cadence. And so Cinch Racing, on their Instagram, they have some great tips that they point out. I love reading some of their posts. And they have they touch on a variety of topics, sometimes on how to deal with anxiety, how to deal with, how to be a better climber, better sprinter, how to ride a pace line. So I think there's a lot of helpful tips that they put out. Obviously, people have different opinions on different topics, but definitely for all of us that are kind of new to the sport, I think it's a great resource to use. And that's Cinch Racing on their Instagram page. And that kind of came out of nowhere, I guess, because no one in this race is from Cinch. But just I was just pointing out the differences between climbing while seated and while standing. Every so often they put out another post on how to improve your standing while climbing, or out of the saddle climbing. So anyway, you guys have had, I think you guys have, I can't remember if it was 5 or 7 preems in this lap. And
7. They announced it at the beginning,
right.
I believe. 7
preems in this lap, so pretty much every other lap was a preem, and every time there's a preem lap, you guys get up to about 25 to 27 miles per hour. So I'm assuming this might be one here. But I think that's also what makes your race so surgy. Because every time there's a preem, someone has to go for it.
Mm-hmm. Well, they don't have to, but I think somebody wants to.
Yeah, so here again, if you look in the middle with the young lady with the green bibs on, this is another example. Slow cadence, heavy gear, standing while climbing, and other people are spinning. And I think everyone needs to practice a higher cadence, mainly a higher cadence because it's easy to have a slow cadence, and most riders have too slow of a cadence. So, but I think everyone should practice raising their cadence because at race pace, almost everyone's cadence is 10 to 20 RPMs higher than what they're used to on like a leisure ride. But it's good to vary your cadence, use different muscle groups, and just regulate your heart as well. So it's just something you should practice in training, and then obviously implement on faster group rides and races, things like that. And definitely while you're climbing. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, this mentor comes out and is trying to get the whole group of us to move over, I believe, to take a wider line. Mm-hmm. And I think one rider comes out with her, and I'm thinking I'll come out, and this is where had not planned to go for a preem, but nobody else was coming out with her, and then she was just pedaling pretty comfortably, so I decided to just go for it. So this was definitely not planned. It's been in our in our playbook to not go for preems and try to be there at the end.
Yeah.
But I decided to just see how it was taking the corners by myself, and I didn't give it a sprint effort, but gave it a pretty hard effort, and here I was.
Okay, well let's evaluate that a little bit, because right there you used almost 500 watts on this flat, and you got up to 30 miles per hour. But I think just something to do for the future is take a glance back, because when you come across the finish line, you're going to be 50, 60 yards in front of everyone, and you're still putting in a hard effort. And I think it's a great effort, by the way. I'm not knocking that at all. The only thing I'm saying is this is 3 laps away from the finish, and you probably used, I don't know how to put it into energy terms, but you're doing 500 watts when you probably could have got away with 300 watts to establish your gap. And again, here you go for another sprint, your heart rate's at 184, which is pretty much maxed out for you just about. And here you're sprinting and there's no one within 50, 60 yards of you. So just a little glance back after you got your initial burst would allow you to shut it down and ride, sweet spot or threshold or something, instead of going into your VO2 and anaerobic. And then obviously your recovery would have been a little quicker, or you could have decided, hey, I got a big gap, let me hold threshold now and see, if I can make it another lap or so, and then maybe an all-out VO2 effort to the line. Who knows?
Yeah, it's so interesting how different races are, because the only other preem I went for, some people recall the socks. Yeah, not going to live that one down. Now it's going to be hydro that I thought were points, but anyway, that's a different story. It was a much harder effort, and I got caught right at the line. I think Carolyn and then somebody else passed her at the line. And so this was not as hard of an effort, so I did not want to get caught right at the line.
Why are you bringing up old stuff?
Hey, I'm just saying.
That was like 6 months ago.
So as I pass, I hear Anthony say, "Oh, you must be thirsty." So then I was thinking I didn't get points, and so I got something to drink that I don't think I want.
Yes, but just to clarify, she told me she was here for points, team points, and then she goes for a preem for a case of hydro when she had already told me she does not like hydro. So she passed the line, and I was like, "You must be really thirsty." So yeah. But so here's Linda again, trying to give you a lead out. It's 2 laps to go, basically. But yeah, no, Linda did a great job, and honestly, these are some good efforts that she put in on these couple laps for you. So yeah, I don't know. Have you guys actually met before?
No, we haven't.
Okay.
She's teammates with Felicia, who I love. But yes, we actually have never spoken. So I was going to go try to meet her today, but she wasn't at the tent. So then, again, so many people pass so quickly, and I know I'm out of position because I think there's just like 1 to go.
Yeah.
And
I think you're coming up on the bell lap now.
And so I know that this is just too many spots, but it's really difficult to make up so many spots when I was tired.
I will say this though, your attack did stretch out the Peloton. I know that for sure. 1, because I was watching, and 2, Sarah right here is a great rider as far as like holding wheels and stuff like that. And if she's not right on someone's wheel, that means the pace got hot. So yeah, I mean, maybe that wasn't your intentions, but you definitely put a little hurt on people there, and obviously yourself as well. It looks like you're recovered now. You're back to about threshold heart rate. But yeah, I think if it wasn't so close to the end of the race, I think you may even had a better chance for even higher finish. But it is what it is. You went for a preem. You actually got it. So that's definitely big points in a successful race move. And yeah.
I really don't feel so bad here. I feel somewhat recovered, but it's just starting to just stretch out. So I mean, as I turn one or two corners, I know time is just ticking, and I know I don't have the effort to make up just that many places because people are really starting to put the heat on. I can see them already around the corner, and this is where I need to be up further. So just knowing that you have such a long way to close is,
Yeah, it's definitely difficult, and that's the thing. I mean, if you go for a preem with 2 laps to go, well, basically it was 3 laps to go when you went for the preem, so now it's 2 laps to go. I mean, that's just kind of the price you pay, and that's actually why they put them there. They want to spice it up a little bit and give you guys something to race for. So, yeah, I mean, it's a great effort.
Nobody chased me.
Yeah.
They were wiser than I was.
Yeah, but you know what? That's just part of learning. It's part of racing, and yeah, I think you're doing a great job. You're drafting much better today than you have been in the last few weeks, and yeah, when it gets hot, everybody's putting in effort now. You guys are, 300 watts. That's well over your FTP. So, yeah, it is what it is. It's hard. Every race is hard the last 2 laps. And honestly, that's the biggest thing, in my opinion, that new racers have to learn, especially the ones that are stronger, is we have to learn how to finish a race. I talked about this before, that so many people want to move up to Cat 4, Cat 3, like as fast as they can. And to me, it doesn't make sense. Like, yeah, a lot of these girls and guys have the fitness to race in a higher category as far as stamina, but not as far as tactics, not as far as bike handling, not as far as being able to finish a race. And the hardest thing to do is finish those last 2 laps in the position that you want to be in.
Yeah, that's something we were talking to Jessica about, of podium out of your category. So unless you're getting podiums or really high finishes, it kind of doesn't matter. You should be able to dominate the lower category. And I know people say, oh, it's crashes, it's sketchy. Then be at the front and win the race. Or,
Right. Well, I think one of
towards the front.
One of the biggest problems with crashing and it's sketchy is everyone thinks it's everyone else. And yeah, if honestly the front of the race, there's less crashes, and if you're not the sketchy person, then you need to be near the front of the race. And yeah, it's just a lot safer at the front of the race. Almost all crashes happen like middle of the race back. So, and of course I don't have stats on that. This is just an observation and opinion. So, but yeah, I think you do a great job here. You see Kenya looked over and she said, no, I'm going to accelerate, not let Helen beat me. But you got Lisa at the line, and then Kenya got you back there. So good job.
The Peloton on that uphill section, and there you got it, unofficially. 8-12 together for first and 8-16 unofficially. Jay Stevens. Did you see that sprint on Jay Stevens?
I should have gone for a preem. And then I thought it was points. And then I heard Anthony say, you must have been thirsty. So I'm like, what did I get that I don't even drink?
Welcome back.